What's poppin', y'all? Wait for a couple of people to come on up in here before I get started. But as I'm sitting here, I'm gonna thank y'all for the feedback on the 40 acres and a fool documentary. You know, a lot of y'all been going over it. There was a lot of information to digest, but I tried to power pack that whole thing because I don't like talking over and over about the goddamn same subject. So I'm pretty much like a Biggie verse. When I do documentaries, when I do shit, every single word is gonna be power packed, and I'm gonna leave it like that. You go ahead, you sift through it, you go ahead and you research it. Don't believe anything I say. Research everything, but trust me, if I put it in there, you can bet your ass that you're gonna be able to find it. So, like I said, it was the documentary was power packed. It had a lot of different things in there, a lot of law, which I know is if you don't understand the law, if you've never studied the law, it can be kind of confusing. But once you really get into it and start to understand the lingo of the law, it becomes pretty easy. Because all it is a language. If you understand that from the beginning and go into it knowing that you're just going to try and learn a language instead of trying to think, oh, I have to learn all these different things about the law in order for me to know it. You don't have to do all that. Lawyers don't know shit. Lawyers, when they go through law school, they learn procedure. They learn law theory, and they learn how to read the law, the language of the law, because it's not an everyday language. Words you think that you speak in every day don't mean the same thing in the law. That's just the fact of the matter. What's up, brother? Hey, I wish I could see. I can't see the comments. I'm kind of far back. My eyes ain't that great, so I appreciate y'all if y'all leaving comments. But legalese, or what they call, and you've seen me do videos on this before, the King's English, which is the language they speak in court, is completely different from the Queen's English, which is colloquial or everyday language you speak on the street. And if you don't know it, you're gonna get your ass caught up. And so when people going over these damn laws, like over these laws, 14th Amendment and Dred Scott case, and you got regular people reading this stuff, and then they come to these conclusions, they don't know what the hell they're talking about, especially if you don't read the law. So, in the video, like I said, I put a whole lot of stuff, and I tried to break down each word in the Dred Scott case, as well as how House Congressional Resolution 331 and the American Declaration of Indigenous Rights, so that you can understand. Just break it down very slowly per word so that you can see. Just you slow it down, you'll be able to understand. So just go into it. What's going on? So just go into it if you want to learn the law, because a lot of you guys been hitting me back about what books to what law dictionary to get, and where you can find your ancestry, and what if your ancestry really does go back to being African. You can trace your ancestry back to being African. So I'm gonna touch on a couple of those questions today, but just know, lawyers, man, don't know shit. I just want to stress that. So y'all think learning the law is some major shit. Being a lawyer, most lawyers don't know anything. They have researchers who research everything they need to know. So if they need to know something real quick on a law case or something, they don't know it, they'll call up their secretary or intern or something and say, go research this for me. So it's the same thing with you. You're not going to learn everything you need, everything about the law. What you're going to learn is the language of the law, so that if you need to go find something in the law, you can read it and know what it says and understand it. Because there's so many things in the law for you to be able to find remedies that you can use, but you have to understand how to read it and be able to use them. So that's really what learning the law is. For all you people who've been getting at me and saying that, learning the law seems pretty hard, but it's not. The more and more you do something, just like anything else, playing a video game, playing sports, the more and more you do something, it's going, you're going to get better at it, and you're going to create a certain rhythm for it and an understanding, and you're just going to be able to start to pull that information in. So one of the questions, you tell some of the questions. So one of the questions was, how do you find your ancestry? So if you're over here, how do you find your ancestry? So the basic thing if you're looking for your ancestry in the Americas, as far as being Aboriginal, go back to your family. Go to the elders in the family and see it, and go back as far as you can trace and see what the stories are of where you come from. Because most melanated people, especially in the Americas, they have that, oh yeah, my grandmother was Cherokee, or you know what I'm saying, we was Blackfoot, or we was, you know, Choctaw, or this and that. And it's just something that you hear throughout the family history, but you don't really pay attention to it because that ain't a part of your shit. You see Indians on the TV, and you see, you know what I'm saying, you see red people on TV. You don't think that's you. You don't look at Indians and equate that to being you. So you just, whatever. So, but those stories are there for a reason, because when when they started to reclassify the Aboriginals, especially in the 1790 census, and this is when they really started to do it, or right after the 1790 census, because they were trying to take the land. They were trying to take all of the rights to the land, or just not. They can't take the rights to the land, but they were trying to get it as much as they could. They had to reclassify you, and then you give up your rights willingly. So then they can come in and supplant you and then take the rights. So, and not only did they do that, a lot of it was done by threat too. So when they reclassified, they were moving people off the land. So if they came and they asked you what your lineage was, and you told them you were Aboriginal, they were kicking you up, moving you off the land forcibly. So a lot of our ancestors had to hide that lineage in their family. So, you know, they were calling themselves Negro and mulatto and all of these different terms so that they can stay there on their land. They didn't get moved out. But that history is still there in your family. So go back, ask those ancestors, yo, you know, do you remember what was in that family? Because that's what you need. You need that right there. That's the very first thing. Then once you get that, you know, then you can start to link up with what that nation was. You start to link up with people what that nation was. Or what you can do is start to link up in your family, and you create a family trust based on that nation, based on your nation. And so then you start to work through that. You start to work through your family trust. But you have to get your status correct first. That's the very first thing. Even if you find out who you are, it doesn't matter unless you correct your status, because all of you are 14th Amendment citizens. You're slaves to the federal government. You are not even slaves, you're property. You're literal assets of the federal government. So unless you sever those little puppet strings, you can't do shit. But it starts with learning what your family history is, and then going from there. And if you're researching this, you're gonna see a lot of people who talk about status correction and you know, doing all this and that. Look, there are many ways to sever your contracts, but most ways that you sever your contracts from the government will leave you at a disadvantage. So like, you know, a lot of people are going through the Moors, you know, and they're doing it through the Moors. To me, you are a Moor. That's what we were in history, but that's not necessarily the status you want to take in America, because the Moors aren't the oldest people living here. It's the Aboriginal nations. So I love my Moor brothers, but this wasn't Morocco. That's not where America comes from. It comes from Amaruca. Okay, and it was different worlds. It was Amaruca, which is the land of the feathered serpent. It was something called Amuru Mara. And so it was different variations of those names, which meant the dragon. Okay, the feathered serpent, the land of the feathered serpent, which was Quetzalcoatl or Kukulkan, or all those different things. And those goes back thousands of years, far beyond Morocco. Morocco never owned America. So let's get away with that. Okay, this is not Al-Marak, it was Amaruca. Okay, so from that, this is where your Aboriginal, this is where the claim to the land comes in. So if you can go back and research that, and then claim that and claim those nations, then that's your first step. Now, okay, how do you sever your contracts from the government and do this and that? Now, that's the main part. Now, learning the law is not for play. All right, it's not to play around with. If you're gonna do this, you got to do it. It's not the bullshit. It's not so you can get out of some child support, or you know what I'm saying, you get out of some traffic tickets, or it's none of that. This is very important stuff for the future of your family, and you know, and everybody around your family. So unless you're going to be serious about this, then I would say don't fuck around with it. If you happy being a slave, if your life, if you good being a slave with the government, and you know what I'm saying, your life, you don't have too many problems and turmoils in your life from being a slave, then you know what I'm saying, go ahead and do that, because unless you're going to be serious about this, it's going to mess you up more so than it's not. But once you understand, when you hit that pocket and you truly understand, no one can take it away from you. You know forever, and you can pass this on to your family members and friends and everybody you love, and they will have this information, and then stuff like that will start to grow from that. But you have to get into it and you have to learn it. So very first thing, how do you find your ancestry? Go start with the elders in your family. That's the very first thing. Start with the elders in your family. Now, if you go back and your ancestors or your elders say, we are African, you know, we are from, you know, most of our ancestry and lineage is from Africa, and you want some of that sovereign status here. Now, just like America can nationalize people to be a part of their government, so can Aboriginal nations. They can adopt you into their nation. That's been forever, since throughout time. We've always brought people in who we felt that was on our same vibration and frequency and spirit, and say, okay, you're an adopted member of this nation. You're an adopted member of that nation. So if you are from Africa and you do want to claim the Aboriginal status, then you can go and then link up with a nation who you feel that's of your same vibe or whatever. You know what I'm saying? There's many nations, over 500 different nations that was here that they supplanted. So you can do your research, and then you can be adopted into one of those nations, and then take up the culture and the practices and the rituals. But you know what I'm saying, there's a remedy for everybody. So the thing is, you have to say it though. It's called self-identification. You have to say it. And if you don't tell them, they're never going to tell you that you were Aboriginal. They don't have to. That's the law. I don't have to tell you who the hell you are. That's not my job. And if I do tell you that, who to say that ain't wrong? Only you can tell me who you are. And then from there, it's my burden to disprove it. What up? So it's my burden to disprove it. So once you make a claim in the law, this is illegal. I'm teaching you something about the law. Once you make a claim in the law, it's called a presumption of the law. That presumption will stand forever until it's rebutted, meaning somebody has the burden. The burden of proof to disprove you is on somebody else now. That presumption will stand until the presumption is rebutted. You have to come in and challenge whatever I said. But if you challenge it, you have to prove me wrong beyond the point of a doubt. You got to have documents. You got to have, birthplaces. You got to have witnesses. You got to have all of that to disprove what I said. You got to have some contracts, something that places me there, or whatever the fuck you talking about. It don't work. This is why it's so important for you to do self-identification. And this is why it's also so important that they tear you away from your identity. Because if you don't think that you're Aboriginal, you'll never claim it. But they know if you do claim it, then the burden of the proof is on them to disprove it, and they can't. They're a corporation. They're an artificial person. You're a real person. An artificial person can't disprove a real person. They know that. That's why they had to flip the whole goddamn thing up. That's why under the 14th Amendment, they had to make you corporations also. You could not be natural, real persons. They couldn't deal with you. So they made you property, little mini corporations of the major big corporation. Subsidiary, y'all like little bitty little subsidiary. Y'all like little mini 7-Elevens. While the big 7-Eleven is sitting somewhere on top of the thing. Y'all little 7-Elevens open 24 hours a day. That's who you are. And so in order to sever those contracts, or to break away from that, you have to sever the contract that was created. And that's through those contracts, the birth certificate, your driver's license, passports, all of those different things. Now, there is a way for you to still be able to use those things. So this is what I was talking about, the different status, the different ways in status correction. There's a way for you to be able to use those things and still not be obligated by the corporation, the corporation of the United States of America. And this is where learning how to contract comes in. So most people who are doing status correction, they're taking themselves completely out of the system. They're like, look, I don't want to be a part of America at all. But that leaves you at a disadvantage because you still live on this landmass, and you still have to operate within what they've created as the confines, you know what I'm saying, of this government. So you're going to be working around, you're going to be butting your head, running into obstacles at all points. You don't need to do that. You don't have to do that because you're the aboriginals. You're the original person who owns the land. All right, you're the original inheritors of the land. So your law trumps anyone else's law. So that means you're able to operate within their system while not being obligated by their system. But that takes an understanding of the law. And that's basically what I teach. Now, I ain't telling you this so that you can come and take my status class or any of that stuff. I'm just telling you the different types of status that they teach. Some people teach getting out completely. I teach having 1 foot in, 1 foot out. And that's contract. That's understanding contract law. I'm in the system. I'm in here. I can have these documents, all this and that. But in no way do these documents obligate me to your system. And that's strictly contracting. You have to understand how to contract to be able to do that. So, for all these people who are trying to research your status, again, go out there, link up, try to find your elders in your family, understand who you are, but understand you're gonna have to learn contracting. Contracting is the true way out of this whole shit because you're dealing with corporations. Remember, corporation, whenever you deal with a business, it's under contract. No matter what it is, the business to business is contractual. So that's how they got you. They like, shit, we have to be business to business. So how do we do that? We have to make little mini corporations out of all of these people or the slaves. Oh, good looking out, bro. We have to make mini corporations out of all these slaves in order for us to have interaction with them. In order to take what we need from them, we have to make them into corporations. Slave corporations, if you will. So that's the first thing about getting out. If you know what I'm saying, and if you want more information on that, I'll talk more about it at the end of this. How you can find the status classes and stuff like that. But there's other organizations also if you want to link up with your Native American, your Aboriginal heritage and really truly be in that. There's an organization called FANA, the Federation of Aboriginal Nations of the Americas. So you can find them on Facebook. They're big community on Facebook. FANA, FNA, I think it's FANA.org or FANA organization, or just type the Federation of Aboriginal Nations of the Americas. So just type that into Facebook, and they actually are they're a giant conglomerate of Aboriginal nations who've linked up. And these are brothers, like highly melanated brothers who reclaim their Aboriginal heritage and come in inheritance and status and are coming back to reclaim a lot of that stuff. Now, I like the fact that they're doing it like that. Again, that's not my style. I don't necessarily roll like that. I deal with contracts. I'm about the law strictly dealing with the law. And there's another reason I don't agree with coming back and trying to get your stuff back in an inheritance type of way. And I'll talk about that in a minute. But there's somebody who asked me a question about what the Civil Rights Act of 1866. So I wanted to go over that real quick and show you that didn't give why that didn't give you any freedom for the person who asked me about that. So this is the wording of the Civil Rights Act, and you guys need to know the difference between an act and common law. So an act is a statute. You got to know the difference between statute and common law, or the law of the land. These are two different things. One supersedes the other. What is the law of the land? That would be the Constitution. Anything within the Constitution is the law of the land, which makes it common law. Also, what else is common law? Common law are court decisions. That is the definition when you, so if you're ever out there and you studying the law and you hear the term common law, all common law means is court decisions. Court cases, that's it. Things that have been decided on in court already and that you can pull up and they've already said the stuff that you're trying to say right now. That's all it is, very simple. Don't put anything else on it. So common law is the top law of the land. The number one law, meaning case law and the law that's in the Constitution. Those are the number one laws, right? So this is called an act, right? This is the Civil Rights Act of 1866. All right. So remember, 14th Amendment was put in and was ratified in 1868. So this is supposed to be 2 years before the 2 years before the 14th Amendment was ratified. So it says, be it enacted by the Senate and House of Representatives of the United States of America and Congress assembled that all persons born in the United States and not subject to any other foreign power, excluding Indians not taxed, are hereby declared to be hereby declared to be citizens of the United States, and such citizens of every race and color, without regard to any previous condition of slavery or involuntary servitude. Aren't those two things the same? Slavery and involuntary servitude? Why did they? Legalese. Okay, again, of every race and color without regard to any previous condition of slavery or involuntary servitude, except as punishment of crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, shall have the same right in every state and territory in the United States to make and enforce contracts, to sue, be parties, and give evidence, to inherit, purchase, lease, sell, hold, and convey real and personal property, and to full and equal benefit of all laws and proceedings for the security of persons and property, and as is enjoyed by white citizens, and shall be subject to like punishment, pains, and penalties, and to none other. And to none other, any law, statute, ordinance, regulation, or custom to the contrary notwithstanding. So, very specific wording, what they're talking about in here. Again, to all persons born in the United States, okay, and not subject to any other foreign jurisdiction or to any other foreign power. Meaning, you're born in the United States. If you're not subject to anybody else, you're subject to us. And subject to meant inferior, subservient, meaning you're a slave. That's a very specific term, legal term, subject to. Now remember, it said that they're declared to be citizens. Can somebody come declare you something and make it so? Can Italy come and declare you to be a citizen of them? If you don't want to be a citizen, that means you had no say so or not. All persons born, and this is where the subject to come in. It said this is right before the 14th Amendment. So this one said, and not subject to any other foreign power, which legally means you're going to be subject to our power. That's what that meant. But over all of that, this is only an act. This is statute. So when they enacted the 14th Amendment, that was the higher power. That took over any other act before that. Then, on top of all of that, the Dred Scott case was never overturned. And that's common law, what we just talked about. Court decisions by the Supreme Court, which is the top court in the land. So any decision by the Supreme Court becomes law. Just like gays have the right to marry. That's a law now. Why? Because the Supreme Court ruled on it. So when the Supreme Court rules on something and makes it a law, an act, a statute doesn't undo that. Sorry. And then on top of all of that, if that wasn't all that, the goddamn act wasn't even ratified until 1670, meaning 2 years after the ratification of the 14th Amendment, because they had to get you, had to pull you in as property first and then enact that. So just so y'all, just letting you know, the people who are out there talking about the Civil Rights Act of 1866, it's an act, it's a statute, and then the cherry on top of all that, it was only a misdemeanor. You only got a fine. If I violated your rights, your civil rights, it was only a fine. I could come slap shit out of you all damn day up and down the street. Boop, boop, boop. $1,000 fine. If I maybe broke something or you know what I'm saying, put you in a coma, that was probably 6 months in jail. That act meant nothing. So for all you people who are talking about that. So again, this type of status correction that you want to do, you want to be balanced, just like anything else in the universe. You want to be balanced. You want to be able to have one foot in the system, meaning I'm able to contract and do what I need to do, because contracting is good. We created contracting. Contracting with the system is not bad. You just want to be in control of the contract stipulations. Right now, they are the maker of the contract, which means they are in control of the contract. No, you want to be in control of the contract. Okay, so that takes a whole different understanding of how to contract. So, and that's basically what I teach. You know what I'm saying? How to weave your way through the different mazes of contracts that you've been put into, and then how to take advantage and take control of those contracts. Okay, whereas, that takes an understanding of the law. And if you want to learn it, you learn it that way. You're gonna know there's no way around it. You got to sit and you got to learn. But you're not gonna have to do it if you take any of my classes. You won't have to do it as long as I did, because I put it all together in one place. Most people that you learn from, you're not gonna have to learn as long as them, because they've taken all this damn study and put it into one place. But you will have to sit and learn that language. I'm sorry, you just will have to sit and learn that language. Like, just take for instance, most of you melanated people call yourselves minority, right? What is minority in law? A minority is a minor. What is a minor? Minor is an infant, a person under the legal age of majority, or under a condition that says under the infancy, the status of infant. So then it goes on, it goes deeper in the book and says, what is an infant? An infant does not differ much from a lunatic. This is how deep the rabbit hole goes when you're breaking down these words. So when you call yourself a minority, you're in essence legally calling yourself a lunatic. I'm crazy, but you don't even understand that. But it takes that, and that's what I mean about taking understanding of the law and the language of the law, and in order to truly free yourself from this damn system. But once you have it, I'm telling you, it's you've reached the God status. It's like, I don't know if you ever play video games, it's like getting the cheat code for the video game. Once you got the cheat code for the video game, you ever play Super Mario Brothers with the cheat code, you know you can get a million men on Super Mario Brothers. This is back in the day for all you cats, all you old heads back in the day. Get the cheat code for Super Mario. I never could die. So that's what this is. Learning the law is the cheat code. And so either you're rich and you can pay somebody who has the cheat code, which is the lawyers, you can do that, or you got to learn the cheat code yourself. But you don't want to learn it by yourself. Get in a group and learn it together. This super speeds the information, because somebody's going to be pulling something from here, learning from there, learning that you don't know, and then you're all going to bring it together, and then boom, you're going to have that. Okay, so that's how you want to learn, and that's how you want to get in and break this law stuff down. So I just wanted to break down. Somebody asked me about ADOS being a status. ADOS is not a legal status. You're never going to make something that's called American descendants of slaves when they've already stated in the Dred Scott's case, Dred Scott case, that slaves have no rights. And again, that law case has never been overturned. The 14th Amendment is not legal, not legally ratified. So even though it exists and people use it like it's a law, it's not. It just hasn't been challenged. No one has challenged it because no one will allow, in the government will allow that challenge, because if the 14th Amendment is legally ruled against in the Supreme Court, then that does away with the 14th Amendment. The government loses all its power. All the citizens of the U.S. government come under the 14th Amendment, and if the 14th Amendment is done away with, then it loses its power, it loses all its citizens. So that's why you're not going to see the 14th Amendment really challenged. It's not going to. No one. They're not going to take that case. Not from anybody in the mainstream world. You, as an Aboriginal, though, can challenge that all day. Because in that Dred Scott case, not only it said he broke down what the rights that the slaves don't have, it told the rights that the indigenous people do have. And again, in this right here, in this 1866, in this Civil Rights Act of 1866, I want to read you this again. It says that all persons born in the United States and not subject to any other foreign power, which means you're going to be subject to us, excluding Indians not taxed. What does that mean? See, they're in the United States. They're talking about in the territory. See, United States, they're not talking about land. They're talking about jurisdiction. When they say born within the United States, they're not talking about a geographical landmass. They're talking about within the jurisdiction of the United States. The United States is an entity. It's not land. It's a foreign government. It's a federal government. So when they say anyone born within the United States, within is a legal term. That means the jurisdiction of the United States, right? Then it said excluding Indians not taxed. Why? Because you was already sovereign and free. They couldn't declare you citizens. Do you see why that law can't exist? It can only declare somebody citizens who didn't have rights. All right, nigga, I'm just gonna snatch you up right here. You my nigga right here. That's like if you in jail, anybody you know somebody been in jail, and the little punk, he get up under the wing of the big dude. So he got his protection. Hey, nigga, this mine right here. Back the fuck up. That's how that shit was with the federal government. The federal government put you up and say, hey, back up, this is mine right here. They can only do that if you're not free. Indians, excluding Indians not taxed. Again, Indians, and they weren't taxed. Why weren't they taxed? Because they was free, and this is their land. This is your land. They couldn't do it. So, again, I just letting you guys understand. I tried to put it all in the damn video, packed it full of all kind of shit that you have to study to understand. But you know, again, I know the law is it's pretty intricate to learn, but it's not. If you make it seem like that, it will be. The way you learn the law the best is actually reading law cases. And so the best resources to read law cases is findlaw.com. If you want to go read law cases, pull up court cases and start reading on these different things, or these different terms. But that is the best way to start. That's the best way to learn law, because that is the language of the law, and also the dictionary. But you got also, and make sure, I'm gonna say this a million times. Black's Law 4th edition. See, my shit is worn out. This is my 3rd one like this. I got 4 more over there that I don't even touch. This is my 3rd one like this, because I done wore this motherfucker out. All up in here. Then wore this shit out. Also, get you a constitution. This is my constitution. Y'all don't have to get this big one. Y'all can get this one right here. This is actually a great one. I use this more than that one. Okay, this is the U.S. Constitution and the fascinating facts about it. It has a whole lot of good stuff in here, like, you know, the Bill of Rights and the first president under the Articles of Confederation. I mean, so much stuff that you can actually learn a lot about the law and government just from this thing. All right, this is a small little book. You can get this on Amazon for like $3. Power pack for $3. All right, but ADOS, American Descendants of Slaves, as we said, it's not going to be a status. People are trying to make that into a status that you can reap benefits under, and it's not going to happen. Because what's going to happen? You're going to get a check, and what's you going to do with that check? You're going to give it right back to the Caucasian, the colonizer. So it doesn't make no sense for you to try to get a status where you can get a check under when they're holding your land. Now this brings me to, how do you get your land? All right, if you change yourself into this status, then what's good about this? How do you get your land? Like, okay, well, what's the point of me changing the fucking status then if I'm not gonna get my land, nigga? Shit, I can just motherfucker still be a motherfucking slave, nigga. If I ain't gonna get no land, why do I need to go through that shit? This is why. Once you sever your contracts with the U.S. corporation, you link together. Okay, you create your status. You create a family trust under that status. Okay, this is very intricate stuff. You create a family trust under that status, but as well, you guys, whoever you link up with, your nation, if you're linking up with people of your same nation, you guys can create a trust under that. Because the law states that it's self-identification, self-determination, and you guys can come together and create your own government, your laws, and they can't prevent you from doing that. All you need to be is collectively under one mind state that this is who we are. And then proceed from there. But how do you get your land back? So unity is the only way throughout this shit, throughout life. That's just the fact of the matter. Okay? Organism, the word organize means that with which one works. You are not going to do shit by yourself. So how things are moving in the future, they're creating these different trusts and corporations and foundations. These are the entities that are running the world right now. That's it. Unless you come together in something of that, any type of vehicle like that, you're not going to have any. You're going to be left out in the cold. That's what's going on right now. That's what Trump is doing. He's tearing down everything that was built before and building it back up for this new shit that's getting ready to come. And unless you are linked together and have a face, that's why they call it branding now. You heard branding. You're creating your own brand and this and that. Why do you think that is? The individual person is going to be nothing. You got to have a persona in the world. And that's going to have to be some type of organization, some, and that's what a corporation really does. It's a face, it's a body in front of you that you put before the world and say, look, nigga, you deal with this nigga first, and then I'm back here. It's a protection. It's something called the corporate veil. This is in corporate law. You have something called the corporate veil that protects the real person from, this is the fake person up here. But you're all going to need that. So then what you do with that corporation is you start acquiring land. Once you guys come together, get a business or something, you're making your business, you're making your money, or however you do it, you come together under an investment. Whatever you do, start acquiring land. You start to acquire land under that corporation or whatever it is. You put it in the trust. And then that trust is locked down under your status, your aboriginal status, which means then the U.S. government can't come back and get the land because you have first claim on the land. That's how you get your shit back. Not going to the government and begging them and saying, I'm an aboriginal, I need this land over here in the territory of Virginia was mine and this was ours. You can do that. And it probably is going to work if you work hard enough. That's what FANA is doing. And they're making some strides. You know what I'm saying? They're talking to people at the UN. They're getting some shit cracking. They're doing some shit. But it's taking a long time because they're dealing with inside the corporation like that. They have a community of thousands of people where they can just come together and create businesses to start to reacquire the land like that. and then lock it up under their status. But they're not doing that. That's what you need to do. That's how you get your shit back. All right, boop. All right, yeah, we bought that over there. We bought 3 acres over here. We bought 5 acres over here. We bought 2 acres over there. That's all our, boom, we lock it up, and now it's locked up under our status, under whatever that nation is. They legally cannot come to you and take that land. You know why? Because the law has to prove, or in law, they have to prove jurisdiction before they can enact on anything on you. Before the government can move on you, they have to prove that they have jurisdiction over you first. That's the very first thing. And once you challenge that, they won't be able to prove that they have jurisdiction. Why? Because they don't. You're Aboriginal. They can't prove, once you severed the only way they can prove that they have jurisdiction over you is through the contracts of driver's license, birth certificate, passport, all the rest of that shit. Once you sever those and you've established your status on the record for anyone to go see, and you start to move within that status, but you still have one foot inside you still got one foot inside the corporation, so you still got driver's licenses and all that too. But those things don't obligate you now because you've signed those contracts, all rights reserved. This is a different status. Right now, you have those contracts and you haven't reserved your rights under those. So basically, when you signed them, you signed over all your rights to that. When you redo your status, you're gonna redo that under all rights reserved. I can have these, but I only have these under threat, duress, and coercion, which makes it not legally binding. Anything that's done in law under threat, duress, and coercion, any contract signed, makes it not legally binding. So you can have it, just so you don't get smacked up in the head by a damn police officer who don't know shit. But when the shit really goes down, it doesn't obligate you to the system at all. This is the statuses and the things that you should be learning in law. How to operate in and out, so that you ain't got to be dealing with all kind of crazy ass bullshit. Yes, I have my status, but I don't need to be out here flexing and mashing out and doing this. I'm just going to mash out, acquire what I need to acquire, and then smash with my status. It's an ace of spades in the hole. It's the Joker. Not even the ace of spades, the Joker. Y'all play spades. Y'all know what the Joker is. Joker don't fuck around. It's not an everyday card that you play throughout the day. That status is something you hold back to when you really need it. Like locking up your land, or when they snatch you up and try to put false charges against you in court. Then you whip out that status. Like, nah, nigga, you ain't got jurisdiction, partner. Other than that, you can still move. You can still move like your everyday, in your everyday life, like you had before. But you got to know the law to be able to do that. And so, again, for all you people who were here, that's what I teach. And I'm only saying this because a lot of people hit me up asking me how to do this status stuff, and what are my status classes like. So that's the type of stuff I teach. Pretty much all contract. I teach you history, your Aboriginal history, as well as the Moorish history. But I also teach you mostly contracts. You're gonna have to deal with contract. You gotta understand. That's why they told them in the civil rights law that they had all the rights to contract, sue, parties, this and that, because it's all about business. They made them corporations. So they gave them the power to contract. Why? Because this is how we get that money, nigga. You able to contract, we get that chip, nigga. So that's what they doing with you. You have to learn how to contract, all right? So, so one of the last things I wanted to say was, so somebody asked me about the law documents. So in the classes that I teach you how to write your own, but I also do have law documents for people who find it hard to write law. Writing law is not as easy. So I do have law documents for people who want to correct their status. I don't give you those documents though until you learn the law. You just can't buy them from me and then bounce. I don't do that. You have to learn the law first. You have to take classes, learn the law, then you can get those documents. Otherwise, you can learn the law and then, write the documents yourself. I teach you how to do that. Again, I don't believe in in slavery, man, and having somebody being under your thumb. So again, I offer that, but I also teach you how to do it yourself because you're God's. So it goes both ways. So excuse me. So for everybody who wants to learn the law, the status classes, you can go to realnagas.com, click on the Naga Knowledge Shop, and there are 3 classes for 99 bucks. Those are recorded classes. I have like 50 something classes, and those are like at least 3 hours each, full packed with information. So you can get those. Or I'm about to start, not tomorrow, but next Sunday, I'm going to start doing, because I've been doing guide classes, but a lot of people want this information as well. So I'm going to start back doing the live status classes on Sunday. So that's going to be the same thing. You can get 3 classes for 99. So that's going to be that's a whole different type of, a different type of class, because we watch video and we have videos. I have videos on the other stuff too, but this is bringing a little more of the Aboriginal information in. The older classes are with Aboriginal information. They teach you how to sever with your Aboriginal information, but this is more with this is more Aboriginal focused on the Sunday classes. So if you guys want those, that'll be starting next Sunday. But also right now, so if you guys enjoyed that documentary, I need you guys to support with the books. I need you guys to hold on. Let me. So I need you guys to get out and support right here and get this book for me right now. I need to sell about 4 of these by Tuesday. I appreciate you guys, 4 of these by Tuesday. So if I can get 4 of these sold by Tuesday, the people who buy the hard copy book, I will send you 3 free status classes. 3, all right? 3 free status classes. So that'll be the book, $199. It's the hard copy. You get the book. And you get 3 free status classes. If you want the digital copy, I will send you 1 status class. Okay, so that's the way you're going to get it, because more people need to learn about this information, this status information. So I usually give you a free t-shirt. Right now I'm going to give you the status classes. That information is very important. But if you want a t-shirt, let me know and I'll give you the t-shirt as well. But I need to get 4 of these off by Tuesday. I appreciate y'all if y'all can support Cash Mob, this right here, as well, the status and the guide classes, everything in the Naga Knowledge Shop. I appreciate y'all if y'all support. Again, I also have one-on-one tutoring. All right, so a lot of this information is, like I said, it's intricate, but I'm here to break it down for you, man. Like if y'all want one-on-one, y'all want to get with me, and I'll tell you what books to get, with law cases to get, all the paperwork to get, and we'll sit down and we'll break this shit down. We'll when it's video conferencing. So what we do is we Zoom. It's called the Zoom conference. We video conference and we break all this shit down. So again, I appreciate y'all watching the video and giving me the feedback. I put that out there for y'all because a lot of the information has been spread around about status and what is this and am I this and can I get reparations? This and most people don't understand the root of what you have to go through to be able to get that and who you are. So again, that video at 40 Acres and a Fool, that was for y'all. I appreciate the feedback on it, and get out there.